Alright, sit down, grab a drink if you must, and buckle up. Because what you're about to hear is the story of Lunabunn, on their way to becoming a fucking legend. The first thing you may be asking is why are they not level 1, to which I would respond, please stop asking questions. To be completely honest, I didn't even know if I'd like this game, but after a few days I realized that I'm definitely in too deep, and yeah, we're gonna go the distance. My main two issues at the current moment are lackluster DPS and lack of a good pet. As much as it pained me to leave the dog I'd been leveling since level 10, I had to come to the realization that, to progress further, we needed a little more beef. Fortunately, my lackluster weapon and lackluster gun were two things that could be solved at a place called the Wailing Caverns. Now, I'd already run Wailing Caverns a few times, but to my dismay I was completely dry on the bow, and I wasn't aware of the secret weapon that lay inside. Unfortunately for me, there's a 3-hour time difference between me and the server, making it 8 o'clock on this server, and probably pretty early for the average player. You may be wondering why I would be playing on a server that's 3 hours away from me, and the answer is simple, because I'm playing on Grobulus. But why would I put myself through this just to play on a specific server? Well, you see, Grobulus is an RP PvP server, which is just about everything a server can have all rolled up into one, and I've heard it has a very interesting community. It looked as though I was going to have to go do something productive while I wait, but of course, Baron's Chat being Baron's Chat, they came through for me, and we got a bunch of degenerates around at 8 o'clock in the morning to do a dungeon run. I got myself a temporary solution to my pet problem, waited a moderate amount of time for people to get together, and then we headed on inside. It didn't take long for us, however, to run into the object of my desires, which was the almighty Creche. Now let me explain. See, pets in WoW have unique stats based on what they are, from fleshy beings to hard-shelled turtles. Turtles in particular are extremely good at getting hit. Not extremely good at hitting, but that's not the point. To make a long story short, he's good, he's tanky, and I want him. With that said, I will now demonstrate why I am basically the Steve Irwin of WoW Classic. Ice trap. Boom. Easy. Go to tame him. They love it. Boom. Trapped in ice. Can't do shit. And look at that, before he can even take a sliver of my health, he's mine. Disregarding the moral dilemma of constantly respawning a living being to be a meat shield, we tramped on into the dungeon and proceeded to, surprisingly, whoop some ass. That's when we get to the boss that drops the bow I want. And now, it's been about 6 times I've run this dungeon without it dropping, so, let's just say I was pretty fucking happy when I get the bow, baby! Let's go! See, in an alternate world, I didn't do this 8 o'clock in the morning dungeon run. Instead, I went and made a sandwich and never got any of this. But instead, I'm gonna be skanking out to level 30, like an absolute unit. Oh, also, the boss that's right beside that boss also dropped, like, the really good shield for one of our tanks, which is really cool, because it's like the same Did I even record that? Did I forget to record? Fuck! Anyways, just trust me, it did drop. It was super cool. Mwah. Then we finished the dungeon. Good shit, boys. Oh, fuck. Well. Right after getting my bow, I was given a bunch of crafted ammo by this guy who didn't want it to go to waste, and I felt so bad because I couldn't use it that I actually put it in my bank just in case. I then proceeded to fuck around with the bow and fuel my increasingly worrying skinning obsession, and let me tell you, the bow is good. I really like the bow. In the middle of my fucking around, I found out that I was in a group going to Black Fathom Depths. We got the gang all together, and then we headed towards the dungeon. I, of course, went alone because I was the last one having to fly the furthest, and I got ganked by a rogue along the way.
Little did I know this was the first incident that would spark my burning hatred for these fucks.
Despite the interruption, we got into the dungeon no problem and started to whoop some ass. I also just wanted to mention that I'm the master of parkour, don't at me. The keen observer might notice that the other hunter was doing more damage than me, but you know, we all got big dicks in the world of hunters. You gotta share sometimes, it's to be expected. However, I did find out that he was doing more damage because he had received a world buff, so keep in mind of that, yeah? Regardless of who had the biggest DPS dick, however, they were both extremely girthy, and this turtle clearly couldn't handle both of them. What the fuck did I write that? We started along the other path through the water, and our hunter unfortunately forgot that you have to breathe.
How unfortunate.
Dick swinging contest out of the way, we absolutely destroyed this Murloc. Like, he's just gone. Also, it dropped a really good tank item, so good for him. This is the point where I have to pause the footage and explain to you what you're looking at, because you might be wondering why there are so many mobs around our party at low resource. Well, that's because hunter pets are apparently extremely persistent chasing someone, even if they're running away into other mobs, meaning 5 or so mobs are now grouped around the party that really couldn't handle it. So, yeah, shit's fucked. What you're about to see, however, following this, is the antithesis of pure fucking gaming. Roll the footage. By using all 200% of our brain, me and the priest managed to create a psychic link mid-fight and kite every single one of the mobs as to not die and somehow also not wipe. How we managed to pull this off, I have absolutely no idea, but we definitely take those. After that, everything goes relatively well until our tank accidentally somehow falls in the water. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. I try to heal him from the side, and if he dies, we can just res it. Yeah, so the only person that could res the tank, the priest, thought it was the best idea to instead try to save him by going into the water after him. And while I respect the effort and I respect the courage that play took, I do not know if it was the right call. And considering we waited like 10 minutes for them to walk back, after that we roasted and toasted the rest of the dungeon pretty easily and went our separate ways. Yeah, it's pretty good. Afterwards, I was romping around the Barrens, and I couldn't help but find it funny that I had one quest to make a soup, and one quest to rob a bunch of dwarves of their supplies in order to make homemade explosive devices, and then blow up their infrastructure. Like, I don't even think this is justifiable anymore. This is just a war crime.
Not that the Horde would ever commit war crimes, of course.
You would think with all these quests and dungeons being done, I'd be well on my way to 60 in time for the expansion, right? Well, no, that's when you'd be wrong, because I have a little thing called not being able to pay the fuck attention, and I ended up in a group going to Skullfire Cavern, a dungeon that wouldn't give me any items or XP, just because I hadn't seen it yet, and I wanted to know what it looked like. I vibed with the people at the entrance while I waited for the rest of them, and then we headed on inside. And I was by far the highest level in this dungeon. Some might even say carrying, and some might even say worthy of a little money. But I do these things for free because it's I'm retarded. Things went pretty normal, you know, dick, obviously. But we got to a point where we got to the boss, and we just kind of all stared at him. And I mean, I could swear it was the boss, but I've never done this dungeon before. And maybe like you fight him last or something, I don't know. But they went around and we fought the other dudes. And then halfway back into the dungeon, one of them asks, "Yo, where's the final boss?" And I'm just sitting there like, you serious? Anyways, we went back and kicked his ass and that was it. But I just found it funny. Now, after doing something that was too low level for me, I figured I had to balance my biles by doing something too high level. So I death ran through a swamp in order to get first aid training, which was ironically pretty bad for my health. I also helped some racist living water by committing genocide on a bunch of fire beings. Are we the bad guys? But yeah, that's pretty much it for now. Join us next time where we have more dungeon shenanigans, pirate roleplay. I think there's a couple rogues that kill me or something. You don't have to come back if you don't want to. Oh yeah, also fucking like, comment, subscribe, I don't know, join my OnlyFans, something like that.
Hey, yo, the pizza here. Oh, nigga!